You ever come across someone who seems perfect on the surface, but you start peeling back the layers and realize they read the definition of manipulation and emotional destruction? Meet this guy, the self-proclaimed soulmate, the spiritual guru. The smiley corporate guy who's actually a master manipulator with a twisted agenda. His game? Targeting women, playing on their emotions, and pushing them into his own psychedelic fantasy world. He's a narcissist wrapped in a spiritual disguise, and he's doing it again and again. It is time to shine a light on what he is really about. Let us talk about the revenge that is long overdue. At first, he seems like the perfect catch. The kind of guy who walks into a room and commands attention without even trying. He's got it all up in the corporate world, dressed sharp, and living a life that looks like something right out of a magazine. People admire him. He's the go-to guy for advice, the one everyone turns to when they need help. And let's not forget that smile, it's almost disarming. He's always so charming, always talking about his spiritual journey, as though he's the embodiment of enlightenment. Every word he speaks sounds like it's been carefully crafted, a mixture of wisdom and empathy that draws people in. But here's the thing, there's something off about him, isn't there? Beneath that polished exterior lies something much darker. This guy knows exactly what he's doing. He's a master manipulator, and his charisma is his weapon. He'll tell you exactly what you want to hear, weaving a story that makes you feel like you're the center of his universe. He'll use phrases like soulmate and twin flame, making you believe that you share a connection that's deeper than anything you've ever experienced. It's the perfect setup, right? He pulls you in with this image of a spiritual connection, something pure and profound. And before you know it, you're emotionally invested in him, but it's all a carefully constructed mask. His charm, his smiles, his deep talks about awakening, it's all designed to disarm you, to make you trust him. It's the perfect setup for what comes next, emotional manipulation. He doesn't care about your well-being, he's playing a game. His goal isn't love or connection, it's control. He'll lower your defenses, convince you that you're on the same wavelength, and use your vulnerability to his advantage. He makes you feel like you're special, like you're the one he's been searching for. But really, you're just another piece in his game. He's not offering you a soul connection. He's offering you a carefully crafted illusion designed to make you dependent on him. In the end, it's not about who you are to him, it's about what he can take from you. And it all starts with that perfect, charismatic mask. He knows exactly how to play with your mind. And it all starts with the promise of a deeper connection, one that seems so genuine, so pure, you can't help but get drawn in.
He introduces you to psychedelics.
Those substances that promise to expand your consciousness and allow you to see the world in new, profound ways. Let's do MDMA together, he suggests casually, as if it's the next logical step in your spiritual journey. Let's take shrooms and explore our connection. It all sounds innocent enough at first, right? A fun way to experience life, to connect on a deeper level. It's not about getting high, it's about bonding, exploring, opening up. But what he is really doing is setting the stage for manipulation, one that is just as addictive as the substances themselves. He positions himself as the experienced guide, the spiritual mentor who has done the journey before and knows what's best. He paints the picture of a deeply enlightened experience where everything falls into place. His goal isn't to help you grow, it's to control you. With each psychedelic trip, he's pulling you deeper into his web, weaving an illusion of a perfect bond that is tied to the state of heightened vulnerability induced by these substances. When you're under the influence of MDMA, shrooms, everything feels more intense. Your emotions are heightened, your connections to others seem more profound. It's easy to believe that in these altered states, you've discovered something real, something true, that you never could have seen when you were sober. And that's exactly what he's counting on. He uses these heightened emotional states to manipulate you into thinking you're in some magical, soul-deep connection with him. He'll look into your eyes, telling you that you're soulmates, or twin flames, creating this feeling that you found the one person who truly understands you. It feels powerful, intoxicating, like a bond that can't be broken. But here's the cruel twist. This is where the emotional manipulation kicks into overdrive. His words are just a tool, a part of the script he's perfected over time. The things he says aren't coming from a place of genuine love. They're designed to keep you emotionally hooked, to keep you wanting more of that validation. He's using you to feed his narcissistic ego, making you believe that this bond you share is something rare and meaningful. All while, in reality, he's simply taking advantage of your vulnerability. The more you open up, the more you trust him, the deeper he draws you into his trap. In these altered states, you might begin to believe his every word, convinced that the intense emotions you're feeling are real, that the connection you share with him is profound. But what he's really doing is feeding you lies, manipulating your emotions to suit his needs. He knows that when you're in these heightened states, you're more likely to put down your guard and believe the fantasy he's selling. In his twisted mind, this is his way of cementing his control over you. By making you feel special, making you feel like you're the one he has chosen to experience this sacred journey with, he's creating an emotional bond that feels unbreakable. But it's all just smoke and mirrors. The love he expresses isn't genuine. It's just part of the act. The spiritual connection he promises is a fabrication, a manipulation designed to hook you into his narrative. He doesn't care about your growth, your well-being, or your emotions. He's only interested in what he can take from you emotionally, mentally, and possibly even physically. The drugs, the false connection, the deep emotional promises, they're all just tools to keep you dependent on him, to keep you coming back for more of the false validation and the feeling of being special that he gives you in these altered states. And here's where the danger lies. He knows that once he's got you hooked, it's hard to break free. Psychedelics can create deep emotional imprints, memories, and feelings that feel almost sacred. He uses this to his advantage, knowing that you'll carry these experiences with you, convincing yourself that what you shared was real. But it wasn't. It was a carefully crafted illusion designed to trap you into his emotional grip. The moment the drugs wear off, reality sets in, and you're left with the emotional aftermath. Confusion, doubt, and a feeling of emotional emptiness. This is the twisted game he plays. He lures you in with promises of connection, guides you through an emotional roller coaster, and then leaves you in a state of emotional confusion, all while he moves on to the next victim. The damage he causes isn't just physical, it's psychological. He manipulates your emotions, confuses your reality, and leaves you questioning everything you thought you knew about love and connection. All in the name of feeding his own ego and keeping you in his emotional web. Just when you think you've got him figured out, when you start to see the cracks in his mask, he doubles down on his tactics. You expect him to slip up to show his true colors, but instead he's a master of deception. The more you uncover, the deeper the web he spun, and you're left questioning everything you thought you knew. His gaslighting is an art, one he's perfected over time. The lies come so naturally to him that they almost feel like truth. It starts off small. A word here, a slight contradiction there. You notice that the story he told you a few days ago doesn't match up with what he is saying now. You mention something he did, something that hurt you, and he denies it outright. He twists the situation, blaming you for things that never even happened. And before you know it, you're questioning yourself. Did I misinterpret that? Did I overreact? This is the first stage of gaslighting self-doubt. At first, it feels subtle, like just an uncomfortable nagging feeling in the back of your mind. But as it goes on, it becomes more intense, and you begin to wonder if you're going crazy. But it's not you, it's him. He's the one manipulating the narrative, playing games with your perception of reality. His gaslighting doesn't just stop at denying the past. He actively rewrites history in his favor. 1 minute, he's telling you that you're his one true love, that you're the center of his world, making you feel like the connection you share is something that's rare and irreplaceable. And then, in the blink of an eye, he turns everything upside down. He accuses you of things you never did, things that are so out of left field, you can't even process them. He'll twist a harmless comment into an accusation, blow up a tiny disagreement into a betrayal. You're left reeling, trying to defend yourself against things that never happened. And it's not just about the accusations. The word salads he creates are enough to make you feel like you're losing your mind. He'll start talking in circles, saying things that don't make sense but somehow make you question everything. You try to pin him down on a subject, to get some clarity, and he'll respond with vague, convoluted statements that go nowhere. It's like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. He'll shift the blame to you, make you responsible for his behavior, and before long, you're stuck in a constant cycle of confusion, unable to trust your own thoughts or feelings. The more you try to confront him, the deeper he digs in. His lies are relentless. At times, it feels like there's no truth left in anything he says. One day, he'll make grand promises about the future, talking about the life you two will build together, and the next, he's acting cold, dismissive, and even hostile. You try to ask him why he's changed, but instead of giving you an honest answer, he'll make you feel like you're the problem. You're being paranoid, he'll say. Why can't you just trust me? You're overthinking everything. Each time he lies, each time he gaslights you, he tightens his grip. The goal is simple: keep you in a state of confusion and self-doubt so that you can see through his manipulations. He plays on your insecurities, using your own emotions against you. You want to believe in the connection, in the love he's promised, so you keep forgiving him, keep giving him chances, even when you know deep down that something isn't right. Every time you doubt yourself, every time you question your own sanity, he wins. And it's not just the lies about your relationship. His gaslighting extends into every aspect of his life, and he's an expert at manipulating the narrative. He's always the victim in his stories, always the one who's been wronged by the world. And you're left playing the role of the villain in his twisted version of events. When you start to expose his lies, when you try to confront him with the truth, he'll paint you as the crazy one, the unstable one. He'll tell people that you're the one who's been toxic, that you're the one causing problems. It's a tactic that keeps him looking like the good guy, even when his actions say otherwise. The more you try to stand your ground, the more he'll attack. It's like fighting an invisible enemy, where you can't even get a clear shot at the truth. Each confrontation leaves you feeling more exhausted, more uncertain of your own reality. And the worst part? It works. The gaslighting and the lies wear you down over time. They chip away at your confidence, at your ability to trust your instincts. You start to feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly trying to avoid triggering another one of his rants, another one of his word salads. His emotional manipulation is off the charts, and it's designed to keep you hooked, to keep you constantly questioning what's real and what's not. In the end, it's not just about the lies, it's about control. Every lie, every twist of the truth, every time he makes you doubt yourself, it's all about him maintaining power over you. He wants to keep you in a state of confusion and uncertainty so that you can break free from his grip. The more he lies, the more he gaslights, the more he keeps you hooked on the idea of what could be, instead of allowing you to see the reality of what is. It's a tactic that ensures his control, and it's a tactic that keeps him one step ahead, always in charge, always manipulating the narrative to his advantage. After weeks or months of emotional manipulation, you finally start to see the signs that something is wrong. He's gotten what he wanted from you, your trust, your love, your vulnerability, and now it's time for him to move on to the next victim. This is where his cycle of abuse takes a chilling turn. Once he's milked everything he can from you, once he's drained you emotionally, and made you dependent on him for validation, he discards you without a second thought. At first, it's subtle. You might notice he's pulling away, becoming distant. The sweet texts, the affectionate words, the soulmate talk, suddenly they stop. He starts getting colder, more aloof, like you don't matter to him anymore. You try to confront him about the change, ask what's going on, but he turns it all around on you. You're too needy, you're too emotional, you're not giving him space, everything becomes your fault.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
This is the devaluation stage where he slowly breaks you down, making you feel like you're the one who's wrong, like you're the one causing the problems. You might try to do everything right, thinking you can fix things, but the more you try, the colder he gets. His dismissive behavior grows more intense, and you're left wondering where it all went wrong. You were his one true love, the center of his world not long ago, and now you're nothing but a ghost to him. The harshest part, he doesn't even bother to explain why. One minute, you're everything to him, and the next you're discarded, an inconvenience, something that no longer serves his purpose. This is when the emotional devastation hits you the hardest. The person who once made you feel like you were his world is now treating you like you never mattered at all. It's almost unbearable. The silence, the coldness, the absolute disregard for everything you shared. When he does finally respond to you, it's with cruelty, indifference, or a blame-shifting tactic that makes you feel even smaller. You try to reach out, but he ignores you, or worse, he's outright hostile. He'll call you dramatic, accuse you of overreacting, and make you feel like you're the one losing control. And yet, even through all this, he's still in control. He feeds on the chaos he's created, the emotional turmoil he's caused. He's purposely pushing your buttons, watching you flounder, watching you try to hold on to something that's slipping away. This is his ultimate power play. He needs to devalue you, to make you feel worthless, to destroy your sense of self before he moves on. By the time he's done with you, you're mentally and emotionally exhausted, questioning everything about the relationship, wondering if anything was real. But you weren't the one who was delusional. He was simply playing a game of emotional destruction. The discard phase is often swift and brutal, leaving you feeling completely alone. You may feel like you've been thrown out of his life without warning, and in many ways, that's exactly what's happening. But it's not just about ending the relationship. It's about him asserting control one last time, making you feel unimportant, insignificant. He wants you to beg for his attention, to plead with him to come back, but when you do, he just pushes you further away. If you don't beg, he'll make you feel like you weren't even worth fighting for. For him, this discard phase is not only about cutting you off, it's about feeding his ego. He thrives on the control he has over your emotions. And the emotional devastation he leaves in his wake is his way of securing his next victim. The whole cycle has been about him feeding off your energy, your trust, your love. Once you've been completely drained, he discards you like a used object, and the cycle begins again with someone else. The emotional devastation he causes is deliberate. It's a way of creating chaos in your life so that he can continue to feel superior, continue to manipulate, and continue to feed his own ego. He'll leave you questioning your worth, wondering if you were ever truly loved, and all the while, he moves on with a smile on his face, ready to begin the cycle again with the next person. His ability to discard you so easily, without a second thought, is the ultimate demonstration of his narcissism because to him, you were never a person, just a tool to feed his ego. It doesn't take long to realize that this man doesn't stop with just one victim. The abuse isn't a one-off, it's a consistent pattern. He jumps from woman to woman, preying on vulnerable, emotionally open individuals who are looking for something real, something authentic. These women are looking for love, for connection, for meaning, and he knows exactly how to position himself as the answer to their needs. He promises them everything they've been longing for: spiritual enlightenment, deep soul connections, and a bond that feels like destiny. But all of it is a lie. He preys on women who are in a vulnerable place, those who might be searching for something deeper in life, for a sense of belonging, or just for someone to believe in them. He presents himself as the perfect guide, the soulmate who can offer them what they need. It doesn't matter that he is doing this to multiple women at once. He is a master of juggling emotional connections, always keeping them in his web of lies, always promising more than he can give. The thing is, these women think they've found someone special. They believe they've found a deep connection that transcends the ordinary, something magical. But to him, it's just a game, a way to feed his ego and manipulate them into emotional dependence. Each woman is lured into his world in the same way. He showers them with attention, makes them feel like they're the most important person in his life, and subtly builds up their trust. He'll talk about how they're soulmates, how they share this deep spiritual connection that's destined to be. With every word, with every promise, he pulls them deeper into his web. He uses their emotions, their dreams, their desires against them. And just when they think they've found something real, just when they're hooked on the fantasy of what he sold them, he starts the cycle of emotional abuse. He plays them like pawns, making them feel special and cherished one moment, then turning cold and distant the next. They begin to doubt themselves, to question what's real and what's not. The worst part is that each woman leaves this encounter feeling worse than she did before. His abuse is subtle at first, creeping in with small emotional blows that slowly erode her self-esteem and sense of worth. But by the time he discards her, she's left shattered, questioning everything about her worth and her ability to trust. His cycle of manipulation leaves her emotionally drained, exhausted, and broken. She's lost a piece of herself, and yet, she doesn't even realize how deep the damage goes until it's too late. She walked away from him believing that the problem lies with her, that she wasn't good enough, that she couldn't live up to the fantasy he sold her. This is the emotional devastation he leaves in his wake, women who are left wondering what went wrong, where they went wrong, and how they could have missed the signs. But it's not just the emotional damage he causes. This man is a habitual liar, a master of pretending to be someone he's not. He presents himself as a spiritual guru, someone who has it all figured out, someone who can heal and guide others through life's struggles. But underneath it all, he's nothing more than a fraud. He's selling lies, pretending to be a counselor, a teacher, a mentor, all while living a double life. While he's playing the part of the enlightened, caring individual, he's secretly using these women and their vulnerabilities to fuel his own ego and desires. And then there's the darker side of his behavior. He's selling drugs. He preys on people who are emotionally vulnerable and desperate for answers. While pretending to be their spiritual guide, he's using them to sell drugs, pushing substances like MDMA or shrooms, promising that they'll lead to some kind of spiritual awakening. But it's all part of his game. He's taking advantage of people who are hurting, people who trust him, to make money and feed his power trip. He plays the role of the healer, the helper, but in reality he's just exploiting their weaknesses for his own gain. His actions go far beyond mere emotional manipulation. He's using drugs to control people, to keep them dependent on him, all while making them think they're on a path to enlightenment. It's a twisted, calculated move that keeps his victims stuck in his world, unable to break free. They think they need him, think they can't survive without him, when in reality, he's the one who's been pulling the strings all along. He's not offering salvation or healing, he's offering them a lie, a carefully crafted illusion designed to keep them trapped in his cycle of abuse. The cycle continues because he knows exactly how to manipulate his victims into believing in his false persona. Every woman he targets is a means to end another opportunity to feed his ego, to boost his sense of power and control. He moves from one person to the next, leaving a trail of emotional destruction in his wake, each woman more broken than the last. And with each new victim he grows bolder, more confident in his ability to deceive and control. The question is, how long can he keep up the act before someone finally sees through the facade? How many more women will he manipulate, use, and discard before the truth comes to light? The cycle of abuse can only continue for so long, but until then, he'll keep feeding on the vulnerability of those who are searching for something real. At first, it's almost impossible to believe. You want to believe that this person, the one who seemed to care so deeply, was genuine. His words felt so convincing, his actions so loving, he made you believe you were special, that you shared something rare and meaningful. But as the mask begins to slip, you start to see the truth, and it hits you like a ton of bricks. What you've been dealing with is not a man in search of love or connection, it's a textbook narcissist, a predator who's been using you for his own gain the entire time. The realization is jarring. You thought you were in a real relationship, a partnership based on trust and mutual respect. But now you see that everything was a carefully constructed facade. His charm, his deep spiritual insights, his promises of eternal love, they were all part of the act. Underneath the surface, this man is nothing more than a master manipulator, self-centered and devoid of any true empathy. His spiritual persona? It's just that, a persona, a way to disguise his complete lack of emotional depth. He knows exactly how to read people, how to tell them what they want to hear, how to make them feel like they're the center of his world. But in reality, you were never the center of his world. You were a pawn in his game. The shocking part isn't just that he is a narcissist, it's that he is using this fake, enlightened persona to justify his abuse. He's made you believe that he's the one who can teach you, who can help you grow spiritually, that his wisdom and connection are things to be cherished. But it's all a lie. He's not a teacher or a healer, he's an emotional predator, preying on people who are vulnerable, people who are searching for something real. His spiritual talk is just a disguise for his emotional manipulation. He uses it to lower your guard, to make you think that his toxic behavior is somehow justified by his higher understanding. At first, you don't see it because you're too caught up in the illusion. But once you start seeing through the mask, everything becomes clear. The promises of love, the deep connection, you shared it was all designed to manipulate you. Every time he looked you in the eye and told you that you were the one, that you were the love of his life, he was feeding you just enough to keep you hooked. And when you started to question things, when you noticed the lies, when you started to feel something wasn't right, he turned the tables on you. Accusing you of being the problem, of being too emotional or insecure. His goal wasn't love or intimacy, it was control. Exposing him isn't just about taking him down, it is about protecting others from falling into the same trap. He thrives on the chaos and confusion he creates, on the emotional devastation he leaves behind. He plays the victim in every scenario, making people feel like they're the ones who've done something wrong. He'll leave you questioning your own worth, doubting your instincts, and wondering if you were the one who ruined everything. But the truth is that it was never you, it was him. He's a liar, a manipulator, a narcissist who will stop at nothing to feed his own ego. The worst part is that he'll move on to the next victim, using the same tactics, the same lies, and the same manipulations. He'll continue to present himself as the perfect guy, the enlightened one, the one who's always got everything together. But beneath the surface, he's just a hollow shell, feeding off the emotional pain and vulnerability of others. He needs people to believe in him, to feed his ego, and he'll do whatever it takes to maintain that image. That's why exposing him is so important. It's not just about revenge, it's about stopping the cycle, about protecting other women from falling into his web. It's about showing the world who he really is, not the man he pretends to be. Because once you see through the mask, you realize that he's not just a guy who hurts people, he's a predator. An emotional manipulator who will use anything, including spiritual deception, to get what he wants. The truth needs to come out for your sake, for others' sake, and for the sake of anyone he's trying to lure into his toxic world. This is the moment you've been waiting for, the time when you take back control. He's had his fun manipulated and used you for his own twisted gain, leaving you emotionally destroyed. But now it's your turn to expose the truth. This isn't about revenge in the traditional sense. This isn't about getting back at him through physical harm or personal attacks. No, this is about something far more powerful, exposing his true nature to the world. It's about showing others what he's really like, revealing the facade he's been hiding behind, and making sure that his lies no longer have the power to manipulate. First, let's take a step back. You know where he works, where he lives, and what he's been doing. You have a solid understanding of his behavior, and you've seen the damage he's caused to you and countless others. This knowledge is your weapon now. It's time to use it. But before we move forward, take a moment to think about your approach. This isn't about emotional revenge or acting out of anger. This is about protecting others and ensuring that he doesn't continue his pattern of destruction. So let us map out a strategy that will not only expose him, but ensure that others know the truth. The first step in your payback plan is to ensure that other vulnerable people don't fall into his trap. You may not be able to reach everyone, but you can definitely warn some people who might be caught in his web of manipulation. The best way to do this is by anonymously sharing your experience with others, whether that's on social media, in online forums, or even in person if you know individuals he's currently targeting. If he's active on dating apps, social media platforms, or any other online communities, consider sending messages or posts to warn others about his manipulative tactics. You don't need to reveal everything about yourself or your identity just enough to make others aware that they're dealing with a narcissist, someone who will use their vulnerabilities for his own personal gain. You can write posts on community forums or dating platforms describing the red flags to look for, such as the charm, the false promises, the spiritual language, or the sudden coldness once he's gotten what he wants. The more people who are aware of his behavior, the less power he'll have over them. While you might be tempted to confront him directly, remember that exposing his true nature through public awareness is far more effective. Public accountability makes it harder for him to operate in the shadows, using women and manipulating them without consequence. Next, it's time to get the evidence you need. If you haven't already, start documenting every instance of manipulation. emotional abuse, or illegal activity you've witnessed. This could include screenshots of conversations, photos, emails, or any other forms of communication he's used to manipulate you. If you have evidence of illegal behavior, like drug use or selling substances, make sure you document that as well. These pieces of evidence will serve as powerful proof of his actions and can be critical if legal authorities need to get involved. Even if you don't have much physical evidence, you can still gather testimonials. Reach out to others who may have fallen victim to his manipulation. Other women may have had similar experiences, and if you can find people who are willing to share their stories, you'll have a much stronger case against him. The more evidence you gather, the harder it will be for him to deny his actions or continue his cycle of abuse. You might also want to record any conversations you've had with him, especially if you've confronted him about his behavior. Many narcissists will gaslight and manipulate you in such a way that you start doubting your own memory of events. But with documented evidence, you'll have irrefutable proof that you're not imagining things. Now that you have the evidence, it's time to bring it to the people who can do something about it. Start with his workplace. If you know where he works, and if he's been using his position to further manipulate or exploit others, this is the time to expose him. If his actions have impacted his work environment or his colleagues in any way, they need to know who they're dealing with. You can either send an anonymous email or, if you feel comfortable, approach someone in authority who can take the proper steps to investigate. If his actions go beyond the workplace and into illegal activities such as selling drugs or exploiting vulnerable individuals, you may need to escalate your actions further. Reporting him to the authorities is not only a way to protect others from his manipulations, but it's also a way to make sure he faces the consequences for his illegal actions. Sometimes, knowing someone's history of manipulative behavior can lead to a larger investigation. If he's been preying on others, especially vulnerable women, there's a chance there's a trail of evidence that hasn't yet been fully uncovered. By stepping forward with your own story and evidence, you could be contributing to a larger case that exposes his criminal or unethical behavior. If you feel safe doing so, sharing your story publicly is a powerful way to expose him to a wider audience. You can share your experience through social media, blogs, or even local media outlets. The goal here is not just to expose him personally, but to shine a light on his tactics so that others can recognize the signs of emotional manipulation, narcissism, and abuse before it's too late. Your story could inspire others who have been affected by him to come forward too. It's important to note that if you choose this route, you should be mindful of your own safety and privacy. Make sure that sharing your story doesn't put you at risk of retaliation, harassment, or further emotional damage. Your well-being should always be a priority. If the evidence you've gathered shows illegal behavior, such as drug dealing or abuse, consider consulting a lawyer or a legal advisor to explore your options for taking legal action. In some cases, narcissistic individuals may have broken the law in ways that require intervention from legal authorities. If you've gathered enough evidence to support your claims, taking him to court could be a powerful way to hold him accountable for his actions. Even if you decide not to take legal action, the mere threat of legal consequences can often deter narcissistic individuals from continuing their harmful behavior. Knowing that there is a paper trail and a real possibility of facing consequences might make him think twice before he tries to manipulate others in the future. This is your moment to take back your power, to reclaim control over the situation. Exposing him for the emotional predator he isn't just about revenge, it's about justice. It's about preventing other people from falling victim to his manipulative tactics. You've seen what he's capable of, and now it's time to stop the cycle. By exposing his true nature, you not only protecting yourself, you protecting others who might otherwise fall into the same trap. By taking action, you're showing him that he doesn't get to walk away unscathed. You taking back the narrative and making sure that his lies are no longer able to control you or anyone else. And while he may try to continue his manipulative ways, your actions ensure that the truth is out there and his days of deception are numbered. Revenge isn't always about destroying someone, it's about justice and preventing further harm. By exposing his manipulations, revealing his lies, and standing up for what's right, you're not only freeing yourself, But you're helping protect other women from falling into his twisted world. His reign of manipulation ends here. No more pretending to be the perfect guy, the enlightened guru. This is the wake-up call for anyone caught in his web. To all the women he's hurt, it's time for revenge, and it's time for the truth to come out. Remember, you're stronger than his lies.